Good morning. All right. Good morning, Your Grace. We are on our fifth episode of my podcast, Dude, Where's My Flashlight? And today we have the most honored guest, Kim Van Coels. And so thank you. She represents the Krumble Empire. And so, Kim, could you talk to us about the Empire and your team and who you love to light paint with? Give us the background on the Empire and your story. Yeah.
Okay, so the Krumble Empire is like an extension of Kim Krumble, which is like something that happened when I was at college, I guess, many years ago. I'd studied art and we had to come up with some kind of thing. I think I was doing a clothing design project and I came up with the word crumble as the name of the like all meaningless stuff. And then it kind of just stuck. And then it kind of turned into my art name because I used to do a lot of painting, cut stencils and paint skateboards and painted murals and stuff and a variety of things. Art-wise, it kind of all just everything. Bit of this, bit of that, bit of everything. And Krumble was the name. And then because of where I live, I have this lovely big house in the middle of town up on and it's up high, and somebody said, oh, it's like your empire, it's like the Krumble Empire, and it was just some random person that said it in a sentence and it kind of just stuck. So the Krumble Empire isn't an empire, it's me in my little flat in the middle of Glastonbury, but it just sounds really dramatic, so I kind of liked it. But it's also meaningless, which is also great because I don't like to put too much meaning onto anything. For me, things are mostly visual. And so the Krumble Empire is me and my friends who kind of get involved in whatever it is I happen to be doing at the time. They've always gotten involved, even before light painting came along. Anything creative, you can generally get people to get involved for the fun of it. And yeah, my team, not really officially my team, they're all kind of their own entities, but I have a good group of people here, lots of friends that like to come and get creative with me. Natasha, Sophie, Dom, Joy, all these lovely people. But the main person I go light painting with as another light painter is Phil Fisher. But we have him to thank for that, not me, because he's really, really fantastic at like just getting people together, and he's really like enthusiastic about new people, new places, new techniques, ideas. So if I'm going to leave my house and go anything further than just like down the road 10 minutes, it's usually Phil that inspires me to do so, and I'll go and meet him and we'll go to some wonderful location he's found.
Amazing.
But there's not really so many light painters close to me.
Yeah.
So creatively, in terms of light painting, Phil is my go-to buddy. But other stuff that we do here locally, I quite often just go light painting here around town and around the countryside here with just my friends who aren't light painters or photographers. They just kind of come along and let me kind of direct them to do some weird random stuff in some weird random costume in a dark location somewhere in the middle of the night.
Well, Your Grace, and I'm going to address you as Your Grace.
I'll do that.
Well, I'm very chivalrous, and so Your Grace, in court, will definitely mind our manners. So how did you and Phil meet? And I want to get into all the weird stuff because just so you know, you have super inspired me. I'm definitely having guests on my show that have greatly inspired me. I'm trying to reach out to them first. You and Dan Chick, a lot of other people, Mac Murdoch.
Yeah.
Bauer. I mean, all the light painters, all the artists, not even just light painters, but just the artists, because we were artists before we were light painters.
Oh, absolutely. I did photography before light painting came along, yeah.
Yes.
Not all of them do that. Phil only discovered photography through light painting. So it's he kind of came from the opposite end.
Okay. And how did you guys meet? How did you and Phil meet?
The internet.
Like this. Internet. World Wide Web.
It was, I kind of recently discovered, I kind of did light painting for a bit before I discovered this internet world of light painters with all you lot in it. And Phil was one of the first people I kind of started communicating with over the internet about light painting after I started Googling light painting and joining groups and finding them on Facebook. And I found it on Instagram as well. And I think there was some kind of Insta meet that happened at a local location called Cheddar Gorge. And Phil was going and some other light painters from Bristol. It was my first Insta meet, or my only Insta meet. It still feels a bit funny. And we all just me and a couple of the girls that I photographed. Most of my friends kind of just come along and want photos of themselves. You know, the models. Like, oh yeah, I'll be your model, Kim. I've got a new dress. Can I be your model? Yeah, sure. So they came along to be models and just for the adventure. And we all went to Cheddar to this Insta meet, and Phil was there. And we just got on really well. We all kind of hung out for the evening the way you do in those things. I didn't really know what to expect. You know, I think, well, what I was expecting was like, oh, we're all going to go there and we're all going to do something together. And kind of we went there and it was all a bit joint. I was like, oh, everyone's going off and doing their own thing. I was like, well, what's the point in that? I can do that when nobody else is around. So I just kind of watched for a bit because I was like, there's no point in just doing my own thing because I can do that anytime. So just started looking through people's toolboxes. One of the guys was heavily into fireworks. All his stuff has got lots of sparkly things. So I was like rummaging through his box, going, wow, look at this, look at that. And then as it kind of quietened down and my initial like excitement of, oh my God, look at all these people doing cool stuff, calmed down. We started taking some photos, and me and Phil kind of collaborated with my friends and stuff. And then ever since we've just met. He lives about an hour's drive from my house, which is the closest other light painter that I know of. So and he makes a lot of effort to come and hang out and drive closer to me. I have like a thing. So I go to a new location, Phil, but is it within half an hour's drive from my house?
A 30-minute radius.
Driving, yeah.
Exactly. And so you're in Glastonbury, and Phil is in London?
He's just moved. No, he's not. He used to live near Stonehenge, that ever so famous location, and he's now moved to a town called Devizes, I think, which is about an hour's drive. So we're about an hour apart from each other. But the rest of the big boys in light painting in England are a bit further away in the Midlands and in the north. I think Mark's in Brighton. I have recently there is a few in Bristol, but I'm a bit rubbish at getting to the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're a bit spread out.
That's okay. That's okay. I want to talk to you about a couple of the unique, I think, techniques that are. I think of you when I see them. When I see your work, I automatically go to the Krumble Empire. I automatically think of you and your grace. I mean, you're very, very, very unique. Which, in the artist world, I love. I revere. I guess uniqueness and originality. A lot, because I don't want somebody to just make the cookies the same recipe that everyone else is doing. And I think, unfortunately, light painting in a way is kind of heading that direction.
Kind of. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But it's because of the whole thing, because a lot of people like have just kind of seen it and they go delve in deep. Like they're straight away, they're like, I want to be able to do this and this. Whereas if you're coming from a history of photography and artistic experimentation, you're naturally inclined to make your own experiments. If you're just kind of coming and go, oh, I like that picture, how do I do that? I don't think that's an artistic approach. That's a hobby approach, like, oh, I like this, that's nice, I'll have a go. Whereas if you're a proper artist, it's not your intent to recreate somebody else's, obviously to be inspired by and to use other people's techniques within your own and to make your own. But I think the difference between somebody who kind of hobbies at light painting and somebody who uses it as an art form is that a hobby light painter is going to be happy as long as they've got some kind of mediocrely all right result that resembles what they were trying to do. Whereas with somebody who really considers it an art form, you're not going to be happy, even if the technique you have been inspired by has worked well in your photograph. You're not going to be happy with it until it's your photograph and it's your image that you've made. So yes, it is, the copycat thing is definitely happening, because that's just people who are like, oh, that looks fun, I'd like to try it, and they're just taking direct influence and without being the artist in between. They're just going that photo to this photo. There's no there's no like mixing up of souls in the middle before expressing it again at the other side, So yes, I understand what you're saying about a lot of copycat stuff, but I don't think that the people who are doing the copycat stuff are true light painting artists. They're just people who are playing around with it. You see what I'm saying?
Your Grace, I couldn't have stated it any better. Amazing. Yes, but one of those techniques that I haven't tried yet, but I'm very, very inspired by, is the stencils. I was actually with Dan Chick, Hack the Light, and he showed me a full milk carton case of stencils after stencils after stencils. It was mind blowing. My mind literally shot into orbit of all these different ideas of what kind of stencils can I personally make myself? Can I cut them out? Can I use an X-Acto knife? Can I get so creative, not just with the stencil technique, but actually making the stencils themselves, and then layers go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then what do you do with them? What do you put them on a model? Do you put them?
Have you seen the stencil work by Mart Barras?
Ah,
Because it's Mart and Dan that inspired me to try it. Dan showed me initially the technique, but
yes.
Mart did it in a way where I was like, oh my god, we have the, how do I incorporate that into my work?
I want that in my life right now.
Yeah. Hang on, if you wait 1 second, my stencils are right next door. I'll show you what I use. Sorry, my dog's also playing. 1 second. Ta-da! Here's
Wow.
So I know that Dan makes like a stencil box. I've also made like a little box. So my first foray into stenciling was I had a little shoebox, a miniature shoebox, and I just put a little stencil in the front and a torch in it. And I could like hold it wherever in the picture and just kind of flash this image. But the way I use stencils at the moment is quite different. So I have these quite large ones.
Yes,
so that's pretty big, and they're not a box, it's just a stencil on its own. Because I use them for other things other than light painting. I use them for graffiti, and I use them for other analog photography and stuff. So I can't make them into anything too complicated. It has to be versatile. So I just have this frame. It's a bit of cardboard, and I've got a bunch of different stencils that I kind of just mount on with a bit of tape, whichever one it is I want to use. So I've only got 1 or 2 of these frames, maybe 3, which then gets clipped onto a stand like this. So we have camera, stencil, model, backdrop.
Yes.
Stencil has to take up the whole frame. So that's why they're always quite big in my picture, because I have to use this to block out any of the rest of the light. And my main technique with stencils is I light the model with the stencil in front. I move the stencil out of shot. I light the model again. Then I move the model out of the shot, and then I light the backdrop. So that's why you get the various layers. Hang on
I love
it. So that's my personal stencil technique.
Well, I think that's perfect. I think that's great. I think it gives you so much diversity. It adds just another layer in a single exposure, which, you know, as we're doing light painting, I call them different. Well, it's not actually the difficulty of the shot, but when you add another level. So when I'm grading myself, and the best teacher and the best student is always yourself.
Yeah.
And so when I'm editing my own photos, I'm like, okay, that was a level 1 tube spin. It was 1 flashlight. It was 1 tube. It was a simple circle. It's beautiful, right? It's fairly. You just need 1 circle, and
sometimes those are the best ones.
But sometimes beauty is found in simplicity, and it's the natural environment. It's the model. It's her pose. It's her dress. It's the feel of the color matched with the background and her wardrobe. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I really, really love the layers, adding layers and complexity, and I think that's in the second and third and fourth and fifth, and sometimes even Dan and Gunnar, they're going into the 6th and 7th layer dimensions, which I'm just so happy about. That's where the artist really can come in. Like, look, this little dash of ginger in my cookies is my whoa. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim Gamble's a great example of that. He's somebody that takes all the different techniques, and he it's like the photo itself is one thing, but knowing how he created it is a completely another level of complexity. Like, if you show a Tim Gamble photograph where he's lens swapped and he's part obscured stuff and he's mixed it all together and stuff, and you show that to somebody who has no understanding of light painting, there's no way you can explain how he did what he did. You have to have a basic understanding to be able to even remotely comprehend the level of complexity of the shot, which is, I think, what you're talking about. Like, basically it makes it difficult, you know, to get it all right, all the layers to line up the way you want and to be the right, you know, the right amount of light in each to not overpower the other layer and stuff.
Yes.
But I mean, with the stencils, I'll do the same shot 20 times until I've got the right amount of each layer.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes my model's like, that photo was great. I'm like, no, it's not great.
Yeah.
The backdrop is not showing through your shoulder and your left eye isn't bright enough. And she's like,
Yeah.
real. I'm like, yes, we're doing it again. We're doing it again. Oh, and we'll just do it one more time. Oh, and we'll just do it one more time. I say one more about 18 times at the end of every shoot. I think I'm famous for it.
I totally agree with you, Your Grace. I say one more time, or just, you know, one more, as many times as I say, dude, where's my flashlight at the end of the night, when, you know, you got little black torches sitting under your bag and you've looked through your bag 6 times and every pocket is empty and you're like, who has my flashlight? The model sometimes actually has it in her pocket because she used it to get out to the, you know, rock precipice that was dangerous, and I forgot I gave it.
Well, you had to give the model a torch so that she could go over the tightrope to get to the rock that she has to stand on in the middle of the night.
Safety first, of course. It's so funny. Your Grace, can we talk a little bit about the bathtub shots? Now, the light painting in the bathtub, it's absolutely amazing. I was so inspired by your bathtub milky shots, and with the textures that you layered in there and the beautiful models and the hand position. I mean, you just see light painting in a different way. And it's not necessarily light painting around the model per se.
I'm going to say, first of all, before we go any further,
Yeah.
90% of the bath shots are not light painting. So I use my light painting knowledge in terms of how to use, like for me, I really love light painting, but it's not all I'm about in photography. I quite often use my light painting knowledge to do normal shots. So the bath shots, 95% of them even, are just straight up normal photographs where I've just used ideas that I've gotten from light painting and learned things that you have to look out for from light painting, and I've used them in the bath shot. But I think I've only done 2 where we actually had the camera on a tripod and did long exposure stuff, which was great, but it's just really... The problem is with the bath shots and light painting is you're very restricted. My bath shots, you know, you've got the model in this little space. I kind of try to avoid showing the bath. You've got to put the stuff in there with her. Like quite often we work with flowers or twigs or something to make it feel all weird and floaty and natural and stuff. And you've got all that, and you've got her, you kind of restricted to being like head and shoulders, and the model has to like bend her legs and put her legs out the bath so she's low enough in the bath. So I should show you some behind the scenes stuff. It's not very glamorous at all. And then you're pouring milk in there and like sometimes cordial to make it pink or something. And then you're restricted by where the lights are. Then they're tangled up in the lights. The lights are in the water, and you've got like, so the bath stuff is awesome, but essentially it's a cheat. It's not a light painting. I'm holding the camera in my hand, and it's just a quick exposure.
Yeah,
because
that's only if you consider light painting long exposure. So you're still painting with light because there's fairy lights. Now let's talk about this real quick. What kind of lights are submergible, and what kind of lights are safe for the models? Because I think other people are trying to do this, but yet they're not doing it correctly.
First thing is really, 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 really important. Only ever use battery-powered lights. Yes. Because there is not enough power in a battery to electrocute someone. Well, there is, but not kill them. Yes. Okay? So never put any mains powered lights. I did once. My boyfriend was like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, what on earth are you doing? You're going to kill your mates. I was like, okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't think about that. So the lights that I use I have sources that I use for my bath photography are these.
Gotcha.
The fairy lights.
Yeah.
But the wire. So, you know, you get the plastic fairy lights. The wire fairy lights are waterproof as long as you don't get the battery pack in the water. So there's a little, most wire fairy lights have like a little, hang on, let's unravel it. These things are a nightmare to get out of the model's hairs. You'll be there for like an hour afterwards untangling them. So you have a battery pack and a small bit of plastic, and then it turns to metal. And as long as this part stays out of the water at all times, the rest of it can be submerged. So what I do is I have a cup. My taps are at this end at the one end of my bath, and I put a big plastic cup behind the tap, so it's in there lodged, and I put the battery packs in the plastic cup so that I know guaranteed they're safe. Whatever happens, they're not going in the water. Then I lay the model in the water and I lay the lights around her. So up one side, down the other, depending on if I want both the same. I also get, one moment. So we have sticky, this is thanks to Phil, he gave me this. So this is just a strip of LED lights that has a sticky back. And I stick the LED strip, which is one of those ones that you can change color with a remote control, which I have somewhere. Fashioned this for the people that are watching. We fashioned this one, Phil. I don't make my own tools. I'm way too lazy. I can't be bothered. But I do ask other people occasionally to do stuff for me. This is a wonderful control stick that Phil made for this set of LED strings. And it has a little remote control so you can change color. And this light I put in line with the top of the water. So you got the water level and literally touching the water level. Again, this is in like a weird latex thing. This is waterproof. As long as you don't get the end bit that attaches to the battery power in the water, the rest of it is perfectly safe. But again, it's battery powered. It's just powered with one of those square batteries. So in case anything did happen, all they're going to do is feel tingly. And I stick that in line so that the top of the water is literally touching the bottom of the light. So it's really directional. That's why you get that wonderful kind of side lighting that doesn't touch the face. And then you can change, also it changes the mood because you can change the color really easily. Now, the last thing I use is I think it's used for autistic children and like special needs children as a what's it called? Like a hands-on, a tactile thing.
Oh,
so
okay.
This doesn't actually have a light source. What this is a weird fiber optic sensory development tool, I think is what it's called on eBay. So it's for special needs children to have sensory interaction with lights that is stimulating. It doesn't have a light source. It just has this kind of end thing, and I just use a universal connector, and I chuck the universal connector on there, but the wrong way round. And I put a really bright torch in the end. So this always stays out of the water, again, keeping your model safe. And all this wiggly stuff, each end is like a miniature torch. And that's what, so the mixture of these three lights, it's like, there's lots of variety.
It's plenty,
Loads. And the stuff where I have used the light painting, you could wobble the fairy lights, but the only things I've ever tried myself is I kind of set up the same setup with the LEDs around the edge. I put these fiber optics, I put them in the water under the model, and it kind of gives it a little glow. And also the trick is only to put a tiny bit of milk. Milk shots that you see on Instagram and on the internet and stuff is a lot of milk and the water is white. You don't want that. If you're using lights, you literally just want to give it that tiny bit of obscurity. You want to be able to see through the water, but you want the milk to just stop you from being able to see the details. So it's quite good because I like to shoot my models nude, but I don't actually want to be able to see anything. I use the milk just so that there's a little bit of obscurity so you don't see a nipple or so you don't see the shape of the fairy lights or something. You don't want to put too much milk in. Literally, sometimes I use an egg cup. A whole bath, we've got like 2 egg cups of milk in there just to take the edge off. And also, if you just have that little bit of milk, it glows much brighter. The light in the bath is much brighter.
Would you recommend a clawfoot bathtub? Something that you can actually, as a photographer, get outside. There's no wall. There's no shower wall to the right side. You can stand above the model.
Choosing a bathtub, I just got the one that I'm given. My bathtub's like fitted into the wall. There's a massive mirror on one side. It's actually a little bit impractical. It's kind of why I haven't done much light painting, because to get the tripod I have to gaffer tape the legs to the mirror, 2 on one side and out the other. So yeah, it would be really nice to have a freestanding bath, because then what you can do is you can put the tripod over the whole thing and then you could do light painting. I think that's possibly one of the reasons I haven't really experimented with the long exposures in the bath, is just the practicality of it. If somebody would like to lend me a bathroom that's all like beautiful and big and has a bath in the middle that I could like, an extra large bath would be wonderful. Small paddling pool on stilts, even better.
Yeah, even small like children's kiddie pool that's only like, not even a half a meter. Just
the only problem is with the kiddie pool is you have to have like from my experience, my bath shoots, they last between 2 and 4 hours. So you don't want to have a paddling pool outside because your model is going to get cold.
Yeah. How do you deal with cold models, by the way? Because that's an ongoing thing with me.
There's a few things I photograph my friends mostly, so I don't have to maintain any kind of professional relationship with the model. They're literally just my friends. They know what I do. They know what they're in for. I have a few that are particularly hardy. Natasha will do anything for a decent photo. You promise her a good photo, and she will do it. So I've had her stood in flooded water at 4 a.m. in -1 for over an hour without a coat, and she said not a word of complaint, not a word, literally. The other thing on location shoots, hot water bottle and blanket and a flask of tea, always. It's always great to have an assistant. So if you're shooting with a model, so you're doing your thing, she's doing her thing, usually involves standing very still and getting very cold, and you have somebody that is just there to make sure the model's okay. So when you're thinking and you're in between shots and you have a couple of minutes, he's there going, here's a coat for a second. So she doesn't have to move from her focus point, but you've got a mate, either her boyfriend or a friend of yours, or whatever, whoever's hanging out with you at the time. You say, bring a friend, and then they're the person who just makes sure she's okay, brings her a beer, or him, let's have a swig of tea, puts the blanket around her while she's waiting so she doesn't have to move. My trick is just to use people that know me and love me and will do anything for the sake of a good picture.
I couldn't agree more. But sometimes I do get, a new person to the set. They don't really understand light painting. They don't understand that you have to really hold this for an extended amount of time. They think it's a modeling shoot where they're going to be like, oh, let's do this and this and this. And it's like, no.
And then you find a great pose and you're like, that's the pose. And then you do a shot and you're like, no, that's it. And then shall I change the pose? No. Same pose. We're going to do the same pose until we got this shot. And you're like 20 shots in. They're like, shall I change the pose? I was like, no, I still haven't got it. I'm sorry. I have to do it again. Just stay still.
Yes. Your Grace, one thing I'd like to talk to you about, and I love these interviews because it brings the beautiful notion of me researching you in a way and looking at your art and diving deeper into some
I wonder what you found.
Well, I found some amazing things. But can I talk to you about the smoke pellets and the lasers? Because lasers, I do have a laser. I've never quite got the shots that I want. And I want
Phil Fisher.
I know we need Phil, and I think I would love if you can reach out to him.
All my laser knowledge is courtesy of Phil.
Okay, maybe we'll save this for his interview. I don't know.
The small bits that I know is to make lasers show, obviously you need smoke. So the first couple of times I don't vape, and I hadn't discovered smoke pellets. I only had smoke bombs. So smoke bombs are those big ones you go and you got this big ball of smoke plumes of color for like, I don't know, a minute or whatever it happens last for. Okay, but they're quite expensive. Yeah. I then discovered smoke pellets, which I think are a plumbing tool for pipes or something, and you get like maybe 50 pellets for £20. I don't know how that translates, but it's like you get this little box of pellets. Again, I can get them for you if you like. They're just these little things. And you light them, they last like 20 seconds, but they're super cheap and they're just white smoke, nothing, and they stink real bad. Or a vape machine, a vaporizer thing. So if you know people who vape, some vapors, they specialize. Again, Mart and Tim and Pala, all their stuff is vape, not smoke pellets. But me and Phil, we don't vape, so we use smoke pellets.
Yeah.
Before I discovered this, I used to do it by smoking a joint.
Yeah.
So each shot. The first time I experimented with lasers, it was a nude in my attic. So my friend had to sit there still under this laser. And for each shot, we smoked a joint.
Of course. I love that.
6 shots in, I was like, that has to do because I'm so wasted right now. I can't do anymore. But I don't recommend that. It's really not a practical solution. But these smoke pellets work fine. Vape machines, you set up the laser, again, model still, and you just need the smoke to pass through the laser beams for it to show up in your picture. Again, I'd say ask Phil, you need a nice powerful laser. You get different colors. My laser pens are really those little ones you get off eBay. They're not really that great. Apparently China don't have any regulations. You can get amazing ones, but you have to do a little bit of research to find the good, powerful lasers. I know that Light Painting Paradise had a couple of lasers on their website that they got good quality ones, but only red and green. And my favorite color is blue, but I don't have a blue one.
Ah, yes. You never really see the blue ones. You see the green ones and the red ones sometimes.
Because they're less powerful and they don't show up as well. So you really have to find one. I think the one that we used in a photograph was Mart's, and he really did the research and found one that was more powerful. But the UK regulations mean that they don't sell them here. You have to get them somewhere. I don't know what the regulations are like in the USA, but there's, because of the dangerous with eyes and with flying things and whatever, I think people mess around with them too much.
Yeah.
But they are out there. The blue ones that are strong enough are out there, but guaranteed the red and the green are stronger and brighter.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to do my first laser shot and tag you in it. And Phil, I love it.
Unfair credit, but I'll have it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm assuming you're going to be joining everyone in Berlin in a few weeks. Are you not? Oh, that is sad. Your Grace. Oh.
It's my son's 6th birthday. On that day, like Saturday, the 5th of October, I will be spending 2 hours with 25 5-year-old children in a soft play centre down the road from my house, doing no light painting whatsoever, probably pulling my hair out because a lot of other people's children might make me do that. I won't be going to Berlin, sadly. I don't want to talk about it because it's going to make me depressed.
Oh.
Are you going?
Yes, Your Grace. Okay,
Are you going to Berlin?
I am not actually this year. I've been traveling.
Sad about it together.
I would love to go. I would love to go. I just spent some time with Dan and Gunnar and Chris Bauer at the Northwest Meteor Jam
Cool.
meetup. Yeah, it was great. They did mention it. I just got back from Burning Man for a couple weeks. I've got some things.
I saw some pictures. Look great.
Yeah, did. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. There's nothing better. There's nothing that brings me greater joy than gifting my gift as a light painter and bringing light to those, especially at Burning Man, who are light creatures as well, because they're just there full of love. So it's great. I'm still on the high. I'm going to take this back into the city. I'm from Portland, so I've been doing some light painting a little bit around here again.
Just completely off topic. Do you know a band called the Water Tower Bucket Boys?
I don't.
Okay.
But this
I'm wondering because they're from Portland too.
Oh, okay, cool. So actually, this is the next question I was going to give you. I ask every guest if you could add one song to the playlist, the master playlist, a song or music that inspires you to paint, doesn't have to be light painting. If you could just add one song to the mix, I'm making a big playlist.
Rick James, Super Freak.
I love it. I love it. Okay.
Contribution to your playlist.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And the final question, I think that this is just episode 1 of maybe 2 because there's so many things I didn't get to. But let's wrap this up. I'm hopefully in a few years, I'm thinking 5 to 10 years, I want to open up a Hogwarts for light painters. I want to open up a university. I want to open up some sort of school. And I'm going to ask you to come back and teach one course that kids in the summertime, they're playing in the field, they're kicking the ball around, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to Hogwarts. And
light painting related lesson. I have to choose the light painting superpower.
You have to choose a light painting superpower. What are you going to teach the youth? What is the brick in the wall for you? What does your brick say?
I'm going to go with I'm going to teach about the non-light painting parts of your photograph that you have to think about. Composition, costume, storytelling, detail. Like double checking things, like, yeah, those things. The things that you forget to think about because you're thinking about light painting.
Yes.
You know? What is your model wearing? Where are they looking? What is your location? What is your composition? Do the thing like the attention to detail. There we go. I'm not actually going to teach a light painting technique. I'm going to just talk about all the other things that you should be thinking about too. That take your picture from a nice light painting to a great photograph.
Oh, Kim, I couldn't have stated it again better. I so love it, and it's so needed. Everyone looks at the end of the tunnel versus how to get there, and I think there's a lot missing in that
In the
first.
middle.
In the middle, in the beginning, everything. They just think about the end. They don't think about how to get there. I couldn't have stated it better. Kim, it's been such an honor to have you on the show. I can't wait to have you back. There's so many things that we haven't got to, but we've covered so many good things. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
You.
And,
Yeah, you too.
I will see you in the cyber world. I love your work. Thanks for inspiring all of us. Kim, real quick, tell us where we can find you and all of your things. We didn't get to talk about the murals, but I want you to plug it right now.
Other stuff. Yeah, it's a current project. It's a mural trail, Glastonbury mural trail for Somerset Arts Week. It's kind of totally enveloped me up, but it's almost done. The launch is on Friday. I'm going to go paint at the skate park now for the launch party.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to have a look at any more of my work, it's www.thekrumbleempire.com. Krumble with a K. It's got all the weird stuff I do, light painting, stop motion, weird self-painting-y, whatever random stuff I happen to feel like at the time. It's all there. And if not, Facebook. Facebook's always an easy go-to, isn't it?
I love it. All right. Well, thank you, Your Grace. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.